All right, to start rigging this character, the first thing that every rig starts with is our joints. So I'm going to use this character to line up my joints, but I also need to put the character on transparency mode. So over here in the layers, I'm going to set it to transparency, and I'm going to go to the front view. So now I cannot select the pawn, but I can see where the pawn is. In fact, I set it to transparency. I am going to need to snap to the top and maybe some in here. So instead of transparency, I'm going to set it to restricted. So I cannot select the pawn, but I can snap to its vertices. And so I can see through it, I'm going to hit 4. So I'm not in transparency, I'm in restricted. So you've been in modeling, in this right under file, you see modeling. Go ahead and switch that to rigging. And about in the middle, you'll see a tab that says skeleton. You'll click on skeleton, and then you go to the very first one. Is called create joints. You click on that and you'll see some crosshairs. I'm going to go to the very bottom of the pawn. I'm going to hold down X and snap to the first. This is going to be the base. Then I'm going to snap to, I'm going to hold down V as in Victor. I'm not going to hold down X because there's the next point to snap to. If it was X, would be right up here at the neck. And there's a couple of joints I need to put in here first. So I'm going to go around here, hold down V as in Victor for, and if you're not careful, you can see that it'll snap to any one of these vertices. I want all these joints to be perfectly lined up along this axis. So I'm holding V and I'm going to put it right at the waist. Then I'm going to have another one. This one's going to be called the chest. I'll put it right. Let's see. Right here. And then this one right between the two ruffles or whatever is a double turtleneck. I'm going to put that one here. So I got base, waist, chest, neck, and then the head is going to be right at the bottom of the base of the skull. And the last one is going to be at the top. And I'm going to hit, I don't like where that one positioned itself, so I'm going to backspace to undo it. And I hold down V, and I want it to be right at the top, right there. So if I just drag up, the very last vertex that's available, that's where it's going to snap to. So the important thing immediately is that these joints that I've created, so again, to get to the hypergraph, I'm going to go to Panels, Layouts, 2 panes side by side. And then for this hypergraph, I'm going to go to Panels, and then right under Panel, there's another one called Hypergraph Panel, Hypergraph Hierarchy, and that's how you get to this hypergraph. So these are my joints, and that's all the joints that the body is going to get. I'm going to create a couple more around the foot pad, so that we can have like some toe flop. But these joints are really big. They're kind of cumbersome when they're that big. So I'm going to go over here. So I have them all selected, and I may have to go through and do this individually, but if I go through here and I set this, right now it's set to 0.5. I'm going to set it to 0.125. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. And I'm looking to make sure that they're all snapped to the axis line. I don't have any that are accidentally moved over. And you can see, I'm going to select individually. Joint 1, it doesn't have any values because it's at the origin, the point of origin. And I'm going to hit the bottom arrow or the down arrow, and you can see that goes up or down. If I go to go up, I can hit the up arrow. If I want to go down, I hit the down arrow. That's a really quick way to run through your rig. And as I do this, I want you to notice the numbers as they change. The joint 2 has some value at translate X. joint 3, joint 4, joint 5, and joint 6. I'm going to go to and that's from the front view. I'm going to go to the right view, and you can see what happened here. It was actually snapping to the vertices on the skeleton. I'm sorry, on the pawn. So I don't want any values in the X. I want values in the Y. So I'm going to go to joint 2, and I'm going to 0 that out. Oh, you know what? That's not going to work. I'm going to go ahead and do this over. And go back to the front view. And I'm going to go ahead and go to transparency. That way, I'm just going to have to eyeball where I put those joints instead of actually having it snap to the pawn's vertices, because you can see that created, it followed the silhouette in the side view. So I'm going to go to skeleton, create joints, hold down X. It should still snap to that beginning one. And let's see. Well, okay, I'm going to have this base. This is the waist. I'm just going to snap it to the grid instead. This worked a lot better the first time I did it. So that's going to be the waist. This one's the chest, the neck, the head, and then the top. So I'm going to reposition these. And to do that, so this one needs to be at the waist. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to change the radius of each one of these. So radius, I changed it to 0.125, and they're skinny again. All right. So we know the base is good. I'm going to go to joint 2. And I hit W. You can see I'm in the W command because I have the arrows. I'm going to hold down D as in dog and drag that one down to the waist area. Then I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to hit the up arrow or the down arrow. Sorry to go to the chest. Hold down D as in dog, and I'm going to drag that one down to the chest area. Maybe a little bit lower. And then the down arrow. And this is going to be the neck. D as in dog. And then the down arrow. This is the base of the head. You know what? It's close enough to the neck. I'm going to actually put this one in the middle of the head instead of at the base. We'll see what that does to our rig. So there's our middle of the head, and then the down arrow, and this one's going to be at the top. And again, the reason I had to do that was because the joints were snapping to the vertices of the pawn in the side view. All right, so now they're in the right position. I'm going to check again, right view, and now you can see in the right view, they're all lined up. Any view I go to, if I go to the back view, they're perfectly down the center. If I go to the perspective and just rotate around, that's where you want your joints, right down the middle of the character. All right, so now what I'm going to do is name these. Actually, hold on just a second. Joint 6. I'm just doing one last check to make sure that the the joints are in the right position. And I also want you to notice, this may be obvious, but there's like an arrow pointing up to the next joint, which is the opposite from what you see in the hypergraph. The one at the bottom in your rig, that's basically what we consider the main or the root control. And you can see over here, that's at the top. The joint at the top in the very last joint you create is at the bottom of your hierarchy. All right, so I'm going to select my first joint, and I'm going to call this base underscore JNT. And I'm going to select the underscore JNT because I'm going to reuse that. I'm going to hit Control C and hit enter so it saves that name. Joint 2. I select the name, I'm going to say waste, and then on Control V and hit enter. So it's just a quick way so you don't have to keep typing underscore JNT. This is the chest. Control V, enter. This is the neck. Control V. This is the head. Control V. And this one, we just generally call this one the top. Control V. All right, so that's the first step, is just making your joint chain and then naming it correctly. The next step, even though this is actually the path that we're going to follow, the hierarchy that we're going to follow, but for now I'm going to separate these. So I'm going to select each one of these individually and say P. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start from instead of starting there, I'm going to start from here at the waist. Shift P, chest, Shift P, neck, Shift P. So Shift P, that's unparenting. These right now, the top joint is parented to the head. The head is parented to the neck. So if you're thinking about, an easy way to remember this is imagine the head is the parent, like the father, and the top is the son, which means the neck is the grandfather. The chest is a great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather. See how that works? So head, unparent, top, unparent. All right. So with those unparented, I'm going to create our control handles. So these joints are going to move our mesh, but we don't want to animate these. We want something else to animate the joints. So we need a middle control between the mesh and the joints. Actually, it's not, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go to create and say NURBS primitive. All these controls are going to be NURBS primitives. I'm going to say sphere, or I'm not sphere, circle. And I'm going to go to the perspective view. And the bottom one is going to be fairly large because that's going to be your main control. Maybe I'll even leave that one at that size. But I'm going to hit Control D as in dog to duplicate it. And I want to snap this to the waist. So maybe for now, I'll just turn off my pawn. So I'm going to duplicate these and snap these to their correct position for the joints. So I have NURB circle 1, NURB circle 2 selected. I'm going to hold down V as in Victor and pull it up, and it snaps to the position of the waist joint. Control D. So I'm in NURB circle 3. I'm going to hold down V and snap it to the chest joint. Control D, hold down V, snap it to the neck joint. Control D, hold down V, snap it to the head joint. And the last one does not get the top joint does not get a control. All right, so I'm going to turn on my pawn again. And we don't want these all to be the same size. It helps if they're different sizes in relation to your mesh, so that you can differentiate them pretty easily. So the second one, I'm going to scale that one so it's closer to the size of the waist. This one's going to be the size of the chest. This one will be the neck, which is bigger than the chest. And then this will be the head. There we go. Maybe I'll differentiate this a little bit more. Maybe the head will be a little bit bigger. And maybe the neck, maybe a little bit smaller. Anyways, you can adjust these as you like. The other thing that I'm going to do, I want to make sure I'm in the front view. Let's see, front view. All right, so the translate X is pointing to the side. So in the perspective view, translate Z is forward. So I'm going to right click and hold on. First of all, I'm going to select the NURB circle at the bottom, right click and hold, and I'm going to go to control vertices. So, and these are kind of faint to see. I'm going to maximize my viewer. And I don't know if you guys can see these, but there are little pink or magenta colored dots around the NURB circle. So this is how you control the shape of the NURB circle. And you can add more, but we don't really need more. What I'm going to do is take the one in the front. And again, I know this is the front because X is pointing to the side, Z is pointing forward. I want the one in the front, and I'm going to drag that forward to make it look kind of like a guitar pick. You guys remember the from the chess tower that you guys made? Those little guitar picks? This is how I made them. And that's just going to give me direction. Maybe I pulled it a little too far forward. I'll just pull it back a little bit. So that will always tell me, just remind me where the front of the character should be, especially if it's a pawn that doesn't have any distinct characteristics. It shows me where the front of the face would be. The other ones, I'm not going to reshape them. I'm just going to leave them in circles. That's good enough for my purposes. But you can see each one of these control handles have values, except for maybe the first one. The first one is clean because we didn't scale it. We changed the shape of it, but that was using NURBS, the control vertices, and those aren't attributes. But it doesn't have any translates, rotates, or scales. The other ones do. You can see there's scales, there's translates. So I'm going to grab all three of these, and I need to clean that all up because this needs to be their default position. I don't want any values in here. So just in case, I'm going to pull this over because I don't, sometimes the Zoom interferes with the recording. Hopefully hasn't been an issue. Okay, so with those selected, I'm going to go to modify freeze transformations. And I don't think, yeah, there might be some history on this one. So the first one, in fact, I can just select them all just to be safe. Select all the NURBS circles and say delete by type history. And there probably wasn't any history on them. There was on the first one, but the other ones were clean. All right, so now I need to name these things. But to make it easier for myself, before I name them, I'm actually going to group them. So here's NURB circle 1. I'm going to hit Control G as in group. NURB circle 2, Control G. NURB circle 3, Control G. 4, Control G. 5, Control G. And 6, there isn't one on 6 because the last joint doesn't get a NURB circle. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to parent these joints to their corresponding circles. So you can see this one is at the bottom. It's obviously going to be parented to NURB circle 1. So to parent, you select the child first, you shift select the parent, and then you let go of shift and you hit P. Now you can see the base joint is a child to the NURB circle 1. which is a child to group 1. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I select the waist joint, hold down shift, NURB circle 2, hit P, chest, shift, NURB circle 3, hit P, neck, shift, NURB circle 4, hit P, head, shift, NURB circle 5, P. All right. And there's a little less time consuming way to do this, but I'm doing it this way for you guys because not having rigged before, it can get a little confusing looking at all the parts of the chain. So I want this to be really easy for you guys to be able to properly name and position everything. So first of all, this group and this NURB circle have to follow the naming convention of the base joint. So what I'm going to do is select the base joint, and under name, instead of highlighting the underscore joint, I'm going to highlight the base underscore. Control C to copy it. NURB circle 1, I'm going to rename that one Control V, base underscore CON, as in control. Then I'm going to take that and hit Control C to copy that. I go to group 1, Control V, but I'm going to add underscore NULL, and these are all caps, base con null. I hit enter. So we're going to keep following that pattern. Choose the waist, Control C, paste it there. Con, I'm going to copy that whole name, Control C, enter, Control V. Oops, I forgot to delete the group. Hold on just a second. Let me do that one again. Control V, underscore NULL. Chest, same thing. Control C, Control V, shift to give me caps. I copy this, Control C, paste it here, underscore NULL. Neck, Control C, Control V, con, copy that, paste it here, underscore NULL. Head is the last one. Control C, Control V, con, copy that, Control C, Control V, and then add my null. All right. So I've explained why these control handles are important. We want to, this is where the animation goes. This is where we're actually going to set keys to our control handles. We're not going to set any keys to our joints. We're also not going to set any keys to our nulls. So if this is where our animation resides on these control handles, why do we need these nulls? So the nulls, they allow us, do you guys know what nulls or null, N-U-L-L, what does null mean? Like in computer science, or you guys have any ideas?
Like nothing, like not even zero.
Yeah. So this null node that we've created, it allows us to make the default positions for our controls 0. Without this, there would always be some kind of value that we don't want on our control handles. So these, we need to make sure that they are zeroed out. And they're zeroed out right now. But once I move them into the hierarchy, they're actually going to gain values. But the values need to stay on the nulls. You want values on the nulls, and then once the default value stays on the null, so that there's no value on the control handles. I hope that's clear. The important thing is these guys make it possible for the control handles to be defaulted to 0, where all these are cleaned up. That's the main thing. So I want to also point out, now that these are named properly, this null is going to be the child of this base joint. So I select the child, I hold down Shift, I select the parent, I let go, and then I hit P. And you can see this null now has value. I'm not worried about that value though. Null, Shift, waste, I let go, hit P. Null, Shift, chest, let go, hit P. Head, Shift, neck, let go, and hit P. So this is our hierarchy so far. And if we, now that it's all parented together, if I just grab the control handles, so I'm going to shift select the control handles here in my hierarchy. And if I hit E to rotate, actually, I'm going to let go. I'm not usually going to select the base con, but if I wanted to animate this character, you could see that if the mesh is following the joints that are following the control handles, you'll get a nice rotation forward or backwards, side to side. You can rotate it left and right. You can also translate, but you want to be careful with that because you can see that with all these selected, it's doing something that's called a double transform. The one that's at the bottom of the selection moves a little bit, and the farther up you go, the further it moves. Because it's not only moving the value of the first one, it's multiplying the value of the other ones to give you even further distance. Okay, so that's essentially our control, our hierarchy. The next thing we would do, with that all selected, I'm going to unrestrict my pawn. And I'm going to select just the joints. So the base, shift select the waist, the chest, the neck, the head. Uh-oh, I forgot this guy, top joint. Even though he doesn't have any control handle or null, he needs to go to the top. He needs to be parented to the head joint. So I select the child, then the parent, then I hit P. There we go. Pawn geo. You know what? I'm going to save my work before I do anything because this is a good place to save with the work that we've done here. File, save scene. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second, and I'll be back.